Okay, guys, Kelly commentates here. As you see, it's time for Worlds 2025. I can't believe it's finally here. Today, we're going to go over our women's rankings and predictions. This is how we will go over it today. We're going to be looking at the ISU points/ranking with ISU. We'll be looking at our PCS kings and queens, although today we're focusing on the queens or the women. We'll be looking at our packaging wizards, such as our costume wizards and our overall packaging wizards. We'll be looking at which women's skaters have the momentum going into Worlds and how do they stack up. My predictions, what I think may or may not happen. So without further ado, let's get right on into it. All right, guys, let's go ahead and look at the ISU rankings. The ISU ranks skaters different points to kind of create the overall world standings. I kind of akin it to tennis, although I know it's not exactly the same thing. What I'm going to go ahead and pay attention to is the far left. It has the ranking, the points, and then the skater's name, and we're looking at the past 3 seasons. In first place, we have Kaori Sakamoto with 5,270 points. Isabel Levito is next in line with 4,469. Cheon Kim from South Korea is third place with 4,112 points. Hana Yoshida from Japan, who we will not even be seeing at Worlds, has 3,741. Nina Pinzarone from Belgium has 3,686 points. Luna Hendricks in sixth place. Unfortunately, we will not be seeing her. Seventh place, Anastasia Gubanova with 3,464 points. Eighth place, we have the reigning champion from the Grand Prix final, Amber Glenn, with 3,428 points. In ninth place, we have Monet Chiba from Japan with 3,382 points. And in 10th place, we have Rinka Watanabe with 3,348 points. We'll kind of keep scrolling down the list here, but you can go to results.isu.org and you can see all the standings. I think it goes really, really far into the hundreds. So you can kind of see where each skater stands. I mean, for my understanding, it's kind of like you rack up points as the season goes on based on your results. And so it kind of makes the standings kind of like in tennis, even though you might be ranked way higher than another tennis player, it really does come down to the tennis match. And it comes down, in this case, to your performance at Worlds. You know, are you landing your jumps? Are you performing? All that jazz. Okay, it's time for the PCS Queens, and I want to thank skatingscores.com. It was awesome and really easy to make this chart. What we did is we looked at the skaters' PCS and charted it across the previous 2 seasons, so this season and last season. You can see just kind of each skater's progression, and you can see that Kaori Sakamoto is way above the pack, so she's going to get the highest components possibly at Worlds again. You can see she's consistently hovering right below the 9s. Right under her, and with a steady rise, you can see the green line. That is going to be Cheon Kim from South Korea. She's the closest in PCS to Kaori Sakamoto, so she's definitely had kind of a really strong rise, because if you look all the way at the bottom on her green chart, you can see that Cup of Nice this past fall was kind of a low point, and then since then she rose way up above 8.25 for like the past competitions, and then right away she's almost nearing 8.75, and Kaori is at 9.0, and these are the most recent competitions previous to Worlds. Not far behind her, we have in the gold Amber Glenn. Amber has also been very consistent pretty much since the start of the season, hovering right below 8.5. We may see a slight rise in PCS scores from Amber, especially because this is going to be a home Worlds. And those of you who don't know, PCS is just kind of the program component scores. It's kind of all the different things besides the jumps and the tech mark that make up the skating. So your skating skills, your grade of execution, it all factors into just, increase your score. So these things are very important. In the blues, taking a dip is Monet Chiba. So she's been kind of having, a trajectory where if you see I mean, compared to the 2023-2024 season to now, she's had a nice rise, but it's been a little bit tumultuous, especially the giant jump from Grand Prix France in 2023 all the way up to 4cc in 2024, which she won. And then she kind of dipped again and is kind of back up. So she's under 8.25 right now. In red, our returning skater, Alyssa Liu. That's why her graph is so short. She didn't skate last season. She took a 2-year break. But you can see her PCS is also on a steady rise, with 4cc being a good indicator that, she's being scored more accurately. I think Alyssa, of all the skaters, has some of the best programs of the season. So that, to me, only makes sense. And if we take a look as well, right under her in the purple, we have Isabeau Levito getting in like the 8s. Remember that she took a bunch of time off. That's why there's like a long portion of this chart where she has no dots because she wasn't performing. She had an injury. So it kind of makes sense that her PCS would be a little bit lower at the Road to 26 trophy. She was kind of in the 8s, and it wasn't an overall, the best skating for her. In the yellow, I think this is tragic. Look at Wakaba Higuchi. Why is her PCS so low? And I know it's relative and it's not like so low, but I think for what she gives us, it's just not totally fair. Her PCS has risen quite a bit over the season since the Grand Prix USA, but she's kind of back to where she started. So she had an increase and then it's just been steadily going down. So I don't know what that's about. I don't know, but it makes me sad. In light pink, we have Nina Petrokina, who just won Europeans. She's at a steady 8.0 in PCS. And then in white, we have Anastasia Gubanova, also another skater with quite a wide variance and very low lows among these skaters. So the reason this is nice to look at is we can see that just going into Worlds, our PCS queens are obviously going to be... It's so obvious. Our 3-time world champion Kaori Sakamoto, Cheon Kim of South Korea, and Amber Glenn are really looking to get the highest PCS. They kind of have the edge among the other skaters. Now, keep in mind, PCS can dip, especially if the tech elements start to dwindle, because they go hand in hand, and not too far behind them is Monet Chiba and Alyssa Liu. The packaging, darling. What is figure skating without packaging? That means costumes, music, and the interplay between the two. So let's go ahead and take a look at just some of the best costumes in general from this season that we may see at Worlds. Okay. I've come around. I really have. I didn't like this dress in the beginning of the season. I think just because of the connotation to The Handmaid's Tale and just... it's kind of creepy, but I know that Benoit did not mean for this program to necessarily be an exact mirror of The Handmaid's Tale. So I think as the season's gone on, I've actually really appreciated the simplicity of this dress. I sort of feel like, and I come from I grew up to love skating in the 90s, and so there was a real shift to very simple dresses, especially with the rise of Michelle Kwan, which is kind of my area when I really learned to love skating. And so this sort of reminds me of that just because of the simplicity of it and the color. And I don't know, I actually really like it now. Now, I still don't exactly prefer the program, so it's not like I love the program. I'm just strictly talking about costumes here, and I think this one packs a punch, and it really makes a statement. I'm not sure if this next skater is even going to be at Worlds. She's still on the list from what I can see. It's Livia Kaiser from Swiss. I believe she got in a little kind of skating accident in January, I want to say, and she got cut by a blade, and I believe it also cut her muscle, which that just sounds so painful and such ill timing. So I'm not sure if we're going to see her at Worlds. Maybe she's better by now and, we'll be good to go. But regardless, I mean, she's got such timeless, chic, classic packaging, kind of like Nina Pinzerone, but I just love this back. I love all the crystal detailing and just, up close, it's so beautiful. It kind of breaks the rule of, I don't really prefer white dresses on all the white ice and the white skates in the background, but I don't know, there's something about it that's just so ethereal and it just lends itself so much to the ice, and I just think it's a really beautiful costume. Anastasia Gubanova is another one whose costumes I feel, especially her short program costume where she skates to Money, Money, Money by ABBA. And this costume is Money, 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 honey. I just really like this. I think it's different than kind of the standard costumes we've been getting. I don't know, in recent years, I really, really love the costumes and the outfits, but I kind of like to see more style, or I don't know how to explain it, more fashion almost into it. And I like this. I like the choker that she has. I like the little like bralette in silver type of thing. I like the wrap and the cutouts. I just think it's interesting, and I think it's unique across the ice. Okay, let's talk about like overall packaging and program combination, because I really feel like if the music doesn't match the outfit or the outfit doesn't match the music, there's just always going to be kind of somewhat of a disconnect. This is Jiang Yi-an from China, who started the season with one long program, Curse of the Golden Flower, which you can see the outfit here just really matched the theme of the program. Obviously golden flower, and I just think it was a really beautiful costume, kind of different and unique. Now we could pull those stockings down over the boot, that would be preferable, or tuck them into the boot. But other than that, I really, really enjoyed her packaging. I thought it was just very striking on the ice. Well, she actually changed her long program to the one on the right, to Lara and the Torment, and this was choreographed by Benoit Richard. Look at this dress, ladies and gentlemen. I like it because it strikes that fine balance between costume and art and like fashion. I just think that it's really beautiful. It's just a gorgeous dress. I don't know. I think this would even be pretty off the ice, and the colors, and I just think that it really fits the program as well. So just overall, really, really a cohesive connect between the program and the music and the costuming. Okay, the next skaters' programs and costumes stand out, but for kind of similar and different reasons. So on the left, we have Amber Glenn, and she skates to I Will Find You the Return by Audio Machine this season. Amber has noted that she really tried to pick music that was kind of muted and kept her kind of emotions and kind of regulated her better. She has mentioned she struggles with ADHD, and this song really kind of speaks to her and helps keep her on track. So I think the dress really goes with the music. It's flowy. It kind of has these like, I don't know, striations in it. I just think it's really, really beautiful. But look at Wakaba's. Could it not be almost the identical dress, even down to the one sleeve and everything? It's just crazy how similar they are. Even the same color palette and design. I want to see some receipts. How did these designers come up with it? But Wakaba Higuchi skates to Nature Boy and Running Up That Hill. It's kind of Stranger Things themed, and I really like it because, again, it lends itself to the music. She's doing very kind of angular arm movements and choreography, and I don't know, just the whole vibe of the program. Both of these programs for these women are very vibey, I would call them. They're just very, very nice, and I like it. I think Amber has worn a lot of purple in the past. Maybe that's her favorite color. Maybe she just likes the way she looks in it. There's many reasons to wear that color, but I would like to see her in something different next season. I think that would be kind of a perk to look forward to. Okay, the next skater probably has, in my opinion, my favorite costumes and packaging and programs this season. It's Alyssa Liu. She gives us something very different in the short and long program. Both costumes absolutely beautiful, suit the music perfectly. Her short program on the right is To Promise by LaFay. It's a very dreamy, whimsical, kind of melodic song. And I think that the dress, it almost looks like bandage at first. This dress kind of grew on me. It wasn't necessarily my favorite, but now I love it. And I can't wait to see it. And I just think it really, really adds to the overall effect of the program. Both dresses, I believe, are Lisa McKinnon originals. If you know anything about Lisa McKinnon, she has styled so many skaters. She what I really like about the way she crafts the dresses is she listens to the music and just lets the design come to her. So, I mean, unless I'm sure if the skater gives very specific instructions, she would follow those. But I really like how she is very organic. And then on the left, we have something totally different, upbeat, fun, MacArthur Park Suite by Donna Summer. And this dress is absolutely beautiful. It's like all gold, kind of has an interesting hemline. I like the way it gathers the one shoulder. I like that it's sleeveless. I just think it's very different. And I don't know, every time she performs it, the music and the costume together just makes me love it even more. What do you guys think? Okay, when do most Korean skaters not have beautiful packaging? I feel like they've always had really, really good packaging. Here we have Ah Sun-yoon from South Korea. In the short program, she skates to the Oppenheimer soundtrack. And while this isn't necessarily like my favorite dress ever, I do think it matches the tone and kind of the ambiance of Oppenheimer. So I think the dress really makes sense in context of the program. And I really, really liked it. On the left, we have her Scheherazade long program costume. Love this kind of jewel tone teal color. It reminds me of Davis and White, former ice dancers, when they skated to Scheherazade. Meryl Davis had a few jewel tone dresses for that free dance that remind me of this dress. And I just think it's really, really nice. I could maybe do without the flesh tone like sleeves, but actually it matches really well. And so if you're going to do them, it does actually work here. So I just think that overall, this is a packaging plus. Okay, here are some of the top scores of the season. In red, I kind of highlighted or drew attention to the top score of skaters that we'll see at Worlds. So some of these top score skaters, such as Elise Lynn Gracie in fourth place, having the fourth highest score of the season, we will not even see her at Worlds because she didn't perform well enough at US Nationals. But the highest score of the season so far came from Grand Prix Japan from Kaori Sakamoto with 231.88. Second place highest score was the most recent at Four Continents, Cheon Kim of South Korea, 222.38. And Amber Glenn, third highest score at Grand Prix China with 215.54. I think of these top three ladies, I think Kaori is kind of the biggest question mark for me right now. She can score so high. She does tend to peak at Worlds, so I do think that she can get back to a score similar to this. But, you know, it's been a few months. She hasn't had the best competitions recently, and so it'll be interesting to see if she'll be able to kind of rebuild the momentum that she lost a little bit. And then Amber Glenn has really hovered because you'll see her again with fifth highest score, seventh highest score, ninth highest score. So she's been really consistent in that kind of 210 to 215, her highest this season. So it kind of makes me think that even though Amber has the benefit of a triple axel in both segments of the competition, she tends to make at least one or two mistakes in the free program or even the short program. You know, maybe she'll under rotate a jump in the short program or double foot a landing. And so this really isn't her maximum score. We don't really know what she'll score. When she performs her absolute best. She'd probably beat both Kaori and Cheon if all three were to skate clean, although I don't expect that to happen at Worlds, although it would make for a really great competition if it does. And then remember our conversation about PCS. This kind of lends itself into it because notice how the top skaters with the highest PCS also have the top scores of the season. I think that's an interesting trend. Monet Chiba has the sixth highest score of the season with 212.54, also at Grand Prix Japan. And then we go all the way down to 12th highest score, Nina Petrokina at Europeans got 206.18. And Wakaba Higuchi at Grand Prix France also got 206.08. So definitely some strong scores here, but just another data point to consider when thinking about predictions for Worlds. Okay, it's time to talk about the momentum. Life and just the figure skating season in general is often likened to a horse race. And with this season being so long, you do have to kind of look at who's peaking or who's got the momentum going into Worlds. So let's take a look. Okay, with her four continents win, this is not a shock that Cheon Kim is currently in the lead with the most season momentum. She has the, most recent big international win at four continents, getting 222 points. She is also a former world medalist, so she's no stranger to worlds. I also think that she has been working on her training. She says she trains 8 hours a day, which I don't even know how that's possible. So we do want to kind of think about possibly she may be a bit overworked going into Worlds, but if she builds on the momentum from four continents, I certainly expect to see her on the podium. She definitely has the most momentum with the most recent win. Right behind her, though, I kind of keep them pretty much in this with the same odds. Maybe Amber Glenn is a little bit ahead. We have Amber Glenn from US and Kaori Sakamoto from Japan. Amber won the Grand Prix final, getting a very good score there. And she's just proven herself to be very consistent this season. Whereas Kaori Sakamoto, coming in as three-time world champion, she obviously knows what it takes to peak later in the season. And she also, as a three-time world champion, she can kind of handle the pressure. So even though she hasn't had a very strong season, I don't know, I still think that she has the momentum just with those three consecutive world title wins. I mean, that's just a huge feat and a huge accomplishment. So I would say the odds are Amber's slightly in the lead with her momentum, just winning the Grand Prix final, but Kaori Sakamoto is not far behind. Not too far behind, we have Mone Chiba from Japan. She was last year's four continents champion, but then she went on to get only seventh at Worlds. So it's hard to say. Monet hasn't been very consistent on the second half of the season this season, and even though she has gotten basically second place at almost every event, she just hasn't been getting the scores that she has really needed to recently. However, she's certainly in the mix, and her skating skills, programs, and jumps really lead her with a good position into Worlds. Nina Petrokina is now the current reigning European champion. Her injury has, subsided quite a bit. She's basically healed, and she really has a lot of momentum coming here as the European reigning champion. She also has been in the top 20 highest scores of the season, and, she was able to break 200 points at Europeans. So coming into this World, she's in a very strong position for a possible podium finish. Let's not forget about Anastasia Gubanova. She's also a former European champion. She's definitely in a position where she could possibly get onto the podium, just depending how the other skaters competed. And baby girl, you are never going to count Wakaba Higuchi out of Japan. She's right there in the mix. In fact, she could run this race just herself. She doesn't even need a horse. Okay, my winner for Worlds 2025 is Cheon Kim of South Korea. I just think that she has the momentum here. She's doing interviews. The judges are clearly rewarding her. She has gotten 222 points this season. That is huge. She's also, had the most recent win. I've noticed more publicity around her as well. She's doing interviews, and I don't know. I just think that even though people say she's a dark horse, I think at this point she is a bright, glowing pink pony horse. And I just think that we're probably looking at a Cheon Kim winner and world champion. I also think that the judges are just going to want a new world champion. I just don't see Kaori taking it this year unless she has a completely lights out, skates in both the short and long program. I also unfortunately think if the pressure is going to get to Amber at any point in the season, it's going to be at Boston Worlds, her home country, and she's kind of expected or so, quote unquote, to win or at least medal, and I think that could really weigh on her here. Okay, that takes us to our silver place medalist. I think that will be Amber Glenn of the US. She's had a really amazing season, and I think even if she makes maybe 3 mistakes instead of the normal 2 about that she generally has been making this season, the judges are still going to hold her up in PCS, especially with this being a home worlds, and I think she'll be able to at least get a silver medal here. My third place finisher, I think that Kaori Sakamoto will do enough to at least get on the podium here. I just feel like she's too experienced to at least not get on the podium, and I don't think judges are going to hose her PCS. I think that they'll still want to uphold her enough to be a strong contender for next year's Olympics. So even if she doesn't win and isn't able to, hold her title this year, I think she will at least get a bronze medal here. And finally, let's take a look at 4th through 8th place. I think the arrangement of these skaters could be in any order, and I do think that some of them could also possibly even sneak into like a bronze medal position. So we cannot count out Wakaba Higuchi from Japan. She's absolutely fabulous, and it's just hard to see her, not getting in the top 8 here. Wakaba is a queen, and that is that. We are just so lucky to live in a time where Wakaba Higuchi is coming back to Worlds. And, I wasn't sure if it was going to happen at the beginning of the season, but she's done it. And I think that she should definitely be a top 8 finish here. Also, we're going to want to look at Nina Petrokina, our European champion. I think she'll definitely be in the mix, for a 4th through 8th place finish. As is Alyssa Liu from the United States, who, selfishly, I'd love for her to get a 3rd place finish. And, we could have 2 American women on the podium, which I'm not as concerned about that. But I just think Alyssa having another medal, she got a bronze in 2022 Worlds. I just think that would be like such a full circle moment for her. And I would love to manifest it right this second. We also have Monet Chiba, who, unfortunately, she won 4 continents last season, wasn't able to get on the podium at Worlds, but I think she's, in a really good position for another 4th through 8th place finish, possibly even on the podium, possibly even like winning if she can skate lights out and if others make mistakes. And we do not want to forget about Anastasia Gubanova. She's very consistent. She has the tech. She has what it takes. And I would not be surprised, to see her in that kind of 4th through 8th place finish. Which skaters am I missing? Who am I missing? Who do you think would be that 4th through 8th place? Who do you think's going to win? Who's going to get on the podium? Let me know in the comments below. This is my women's predictions for Worlds. Over and out. This is Kelly Commentates.